This episode of the Creep Street Podcast is brought to you by Martini Coffee Roasters. You know, people always look at me weird when I say I start off every morning with a big old martini. But then I set them straight, and I tell them I'm talking about Martini Coffee Roasters coffee. A delicious coffee made by the Martini family. They roast their coffee using a traditional method of sight and sound to roast those little babies to perfection. And they also sell green coffee beans for those home roasters out there. And right now, fans of the Creep Street Podcast can get 20% off their entire order by using the code CREEPSTREET at martinicoffee.com. Once again, for 20% off your order, use the code CREEPSTREET at martinicoffee.com. Martini Coffee Roasters, the perfect coffee to keep you creeps caffeinated.
You've taken a wrong turn down Creep Street.
Citizens of the Milky Way, my name is Dylan Hackworth.
I'm Maureen Bogey.
And this is Creep Street Podcast. Oh, you know that feeling you're feeling right now? It's in your heart, in your gut, maybe probably right in your groin. Mm-hmm. That's the feeling of ecstasy, of excitement, because you know you have arrived at the goddamned place to be, and that is Creep Street, baby. Well, you could follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Creep Street Podcast, Twitter at Creep Street Pod. We're also on TikTok. Mo's over there doing a lot of fun things on the old TikTok in the name of Creep Street, so go check that out. Also, we have a forum on our Facebook called Citizens of the Milky Way, a Creep Street fan page. It's a little place where anyone can post articles, memes, funny stories, scary stories. We interact daily. It's free. Anyone's welcome to join. Just click the Let Me In button, and one of us will let you in. And of course, if once a week is not enough, if once a week is not, if that burning in your groin, in your crotch, if you want to follow that feeling, head on over to patreon.com/Creep Street Podcast for all sorts of goodies. And before we get into this episode, once again, Listener Stories is coming up.
It's coming up quick.
I think probably beginning of July area.
That's our goal, at least.
We've got some cool stories in. Keep them coming.
Many thanks to those who have already sent something in. My God, we love it.
It is shaping up to be a freaky Listener Stories Volume 6. I believe it's 6, right?
I think so.
I think we've done 5. I think 6. I think it's 6
I think
is the
it's
next one. Yeah,
I think so. But, like, there's just something about it that's not yet ready.
Right.
Like, it's not complete. Like, the episode is not yet complete. And what will complete it is your story.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter. Even if it's kind of short, we don't care. We'll tack it on. It's not like and it doesn't have to be a haunting. It could be a UFO story. Is your town, does it have a true crime or a story associated with it or a legend of some kind? Let us know. It doesn't even have to necessarily be something that happened to you personally. It could maybe be a story about something that happened to a family member, if you're willing to share it, of course. Yeah. But just send those in. Oh, we do it twice a year, and we always love it.
Big time.
Now, Maureen.
Yeah.
Last week we gave him The Curse of Dudleytown, and boy, oh boy. I'm not planning to summer in Dudleytown.
No, I think I'm going to pass.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds great, if I'm being honest.
Oh, the actual area where it is apparently gorgeous. Actually, how close? We were pretty close, were we? Because we were in
I literally have no idea.
Because we might have actually been pretty damn close, because we stayed at the Litchfield Inn.
We sure
which
did.
Is apparently a very haunted hotel while we were on our honeymoon.
It was lovely. We didn't see any ghosts, but that doesn't mean they weren't there.
Yeah, so we stayed in hotels that were apparently haunted.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely hotels.
Oh, yeah.
And so we might have actually been pretty close to old Dudleytown.
I mean, yeah, it's a great place to look at, I bet. To be in, probably not because of the, issues that were discussed in the episode. And thank you so much for listening to that episode.
Yes.
And thank you for your kind words about it and all of that.
Oh, yes.
And if you haven't listened, we hope you do at some point. But
we got something wild on the fishing line today.
Yeah.
We're pulling her in. We're reeling her in. She's putting up a fight. Mm-hmm.
We're reeling her in.
Maureen, what are we talking about this week?
Today we are talking about the mysterious disappearance of Patrice Endres.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, mysterious doesn't even begin to sum up.
I mean,
It's
very
also
weird.
the tragic, the brutal, the confounding, the bizarre.
Yeah.
This story, get ready to get angry, folks. This is
Yeah.
one of those where you're going to start feeling a little hot. You're
Get a
gonna
little upset.
Yes, it's tragic, and there's going to be times when you want to just grab someone and slap them across the face. Maybe more than that. Maybe actually kick the living shit out of them.
Right. That's probably more like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this one is a wild one, and this is just going straight, I mean, full-blown true crime.
Yes, this is true
episode.
crime in its
Yeah.
truest form.
Big time, big time. So before we get started, let me list off to you my sources. First, we have an article from Marie Claire titled, What Happened to Patrice Endres by Bianca Rodriguez. Then we have an article from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation titled, Unsolved Homicide Patrice Endres. Then we have an article titled, Unsolved Mysteries Director Reveals Patrice Endres' Husband Rob's Move, which, quote, stoked his imagination, by Grace Henry at Radio Times. Then we have 13 Minutes at unsolved.com. Then we have a few videos. One is The Untold Truth of Patrice Endres' Mysterious Disappearance by Grunge on YouTube. Then we have The Shocking Disappearance of Patrice Endres by Bama Mike at YouTube. And then we have the episode of Unsolved Mysteries, their Netflix reboot, titled 13 Minutes.
Ooh, we are in for a dark, seedy journey.
Yeah. Now, this was on Unsolved Mysteries, of course. If you've watched Unsolved Mysteries, this episode of it, we have some additional information in here.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And
yes,
if you
yes,
haven't watched Unsolved Mysteries, don't worry about it. You don't have to have watched that episode before listening to this. So basically, either way, you're all good.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Patrice Endres, or Patrice Tamber, was a hairstylist in Georgia, living about, 45 minutes northeast of Atlanta, in a small town, a pretty rural area, I would say. She had a son named Pistol. Very cool name. We love to hear it. So Pistol was from her first marriage, and even though she split up with her first husband, they were still very close. They were in constant communication. It was very important to them to make Pistol feel like he was, 100% supported and, all of that, even though his parents weren't together. And Patrice was just so active in her son Pistol's life. She was there at all of his games, was, helpful with school, with, everything. She just adored him. Her sister, I think, even said she worshipped him. Pistol was everything to Patrice, which he loved to see.
Absolutely. A mother that loves her son. Who doesn't love that?
I mean, goddamn. And at this point, her son is probably 7 or 8. And she is 30, and she's working as a hairstylist.
Okay.
She really was good at it. She was always practicing on Pistol, and Pistol was kind of known for having a different hairstyle or a different color, every week. Because,
Yeah.
his mom was just out here, grinding, working on her damn craft.
Absolutely.
And you know what? It paid off because everyone loved her. She did very well. And so at this point, she was renting a chair at a salon, which basically just means she didn't own this salon. She just was, doing her own thing within someone else's salon. And one day, this guy walks in, and it's just a walk-in haircut situation. And the two of them just really hit it off. They got to talking, and I guess they both were feeling some kind of way right away. I gotta mention, and I'm not trying to, make anyone feel bad if this, applies to you in your life or anything like that. But she was 30 at the time, and this man was 50. It's a little weird, but it's also, she's a full adult at that point, I will say.
You're right. It's not like she's 19.
I'm not creeped out by it. I'm not concerned,
Exactly.
but I'm just kind of this is interesting to me.
But yeah.
I'm 32, and the thought of me being with a 52-year-old.
Right.
And no hate to my 52-year-olds out there.
Yeah.
Zero hate. God bless.
Yeah.
But it's just a big gap. in your
Absolutely.
life, and not even necessarily like physically, just like literally like your mind,
Right.
and where your head's at. It's just you're in a different chapter of life.
Exactly.
So anyway, this isn't necessarily, relevant. It's not like she was, 18 or 17 or something, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Anyway, the two of them, Patrice and this man, Rob is his name, you know what? They really hit it off, and on March 2nd, 1997, they got married.
Well.
You know what? It seemed at the top, like everything was great. You know what I mean? Like they were super happy. He was, being great with Pistol. And, it seems like shortly after they were married, Rob actually helped Patrice to be able to buy her own salon.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting. The salon was called Tamber's Trim and Tan. Tamber is her maiden name. And they never really, in any of my sources go into, if she also was doing tans later, if she had a tanning bed, or I don't really know. They really focused on the hairstyle part, but maybe there was tanning there too. Who could know? It seems like there was, but anyway. Everyone already loved Patrice.
Right.
She already was a queen of the damn area. But now people were just loving her so much. It was just one of those classic, beauty shop hair salons that you, think about. Where
Yeah.
it's people would literally just go there to hang out.
Right.
Or they would, get their hair cut or done or whatever. And then they would stay for, hours longer just talking.
You're right.
Because they just loved the ambiance, and they loved hanging out with Patrice and chatting. And it just, it was just great. So everything seemed like everything was going well.
Okay.
But let's fast forward to April 15th, 2004. So it was just, a day like any other. Patrice woke up and ran on the treadmill, as was her daily routine. That actually was how Pistol would wake up in the morning, would be hearing her feet pounding on the treadmill.
Right.
Now, it seems like Pistol and Patrice got into a small argument that morning, mainly because Pistol had a girlfriend at school. He was in high school, and he wanted to get there a little early to be able to have time to talk with his girlfriend.
Yes.
I mean, this is classic. I mean, the boy is 15, and you're in class all day. You don't always have the chance to talk to your girlfriend. I totally get it. I remember being that age and being like, I've got to do this.
Exactly.
Especially this is before social media and, easy access to cell phones, whatever. But regardless, it seemed like it was a pretty small little tiff. It wasn't like a big blowout or anything like that.
Right.
So then Patrice drives Pistol to school. They tell each other they love each other, and she says that she would see him later that afternoon. So then Patrice arrives at her hair salon for her day of work. Now, her first client of the day arrives at 8:50 a.m. for a 9 o'clock appointment.
Okay.
And this woman said that Patrice seemed kind of distracted and not very attentive.
Oh, really?
And this was odd for Patrice. Just not normal. She's usually so affable and, whatever.
Right,
So this was a little strange. So by 11:05, the first client leaves, and then the next client arrives at 11:10 a.m. And he wasn't in there long. He left the shop at 11:27 a.m. And we know this because he had a call come in while he was leaving the hair salon. Through the phone records, they were able to verify that it was 11:27. Also through phone records, we're able to discover that Patrice got a phone call at 11:35 a.m. This was a customer that was calling to reschedule an appointment. Now, this customer or client also noted that Patrice seemed short on the phone. Once again, not like her, but it's not like she was screaming or anything. It's just noticed that it was off. Now, that phone call ended at 11:37. Now, the next call comes in at 11:50 a.m.
Okay.
And there is no answer.
Oh.
So basically, there are 13 minutes there between when the last call ended and when the next call came in unanswered.
These are always the most fascinating true crime stories.
Yeah.
Is when there's an ingredient that doesn't quite fit.
Yeah.
Like we've always said, whether it's Cindy James
Oh,
or
God, yeah.
the many numerous different things. It's the crux of the thing is
Yeah.
this 13 minutes. In fact, isn't the episode of Unsolved Mysteries, isn't it called 13 Minutes?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see it all comes down on what the hell happened in these 13 minutes.
Yeah. Because her next client came in at around noon for a haircut. and she arrives, and I can't remember if the door to the salon was ajar or if it was just unlocked. I don't know. But the client walked in and noticed no one was there, was calling out for Patrice, and obviously could tell something was not right. So she calls the police. And this is one of those rare times, and I don't really know why or what it is, but thankfully the police took this seriously immediately.
Yes.
So many times the police are like all about kind of waiting a while to start. And I understand, because a lot of people do end up turning up, like they left on purpose or something like that.
Right.
So I understand. But there are so many times when it's like, these are valuable fucking hours.
Yes.
Minutes that we need to be working, and waiting, 48 hours or whatever is insane, because as we know from the show, The First 48, most people who are found alive after going missing are found within the first 48 hours of them going missing.
And do you think it's because it's a small community and everyone knows Patrice?
Her? I don't know. Yeah.
And so they just have more of a personal connection. Therefore, they jump to it a little quicker. I don't know.
It's possible. I don't know. Yeah. But regardless of why, thankfully they took it seriously right away. And they noticed a few things that were odd. They noticed that there was no money in the cash register. I believe the cash register was even open, but the money was gone. Patrice's purse had been rifled through, clearly. They were able to tell. I don't really know how, but they could. But the cash in her wallet was still there. And her lunch was in the microwave.
Okay, so this would indicate that whatever happened fast.
I guess.
It's kind of like what we've covered with, these are vastly different kinds of stories, but like, was it Anjakuni, the village that vanished?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How they would say that, like, in some cases there was still like food on the table.
Right.
And they like took nothing with them. It's almost like that. It's like she's gone, but all of her belongings are there. Okay, and here's what's also weird.
Yeah.
They take the money from the till, but don't take the money
from her purse.
From her purse?
When it looks like they had been looking through her purse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's weird, because it doesn't quite line up then with a burglary. Like, why would you not just take the fucking money in her purse?
Yeah. And also, and I'll touch on this a little bit later, but salons are not usually targeted for robberies.
Yeah.
They're not really known for having a ton of cash on hand.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it impossible, but it's just not a common target. So it's a little strange. So the police did an extensive search within a certain, I don't know exactly what it is, but a certain mile radius of the salon, and they couldn't find anything. They really, unfortunately, didn't have a ton to go on as to where else to look. But they did get some information that was very helpful. There were a couple witnesses who drove by the salon during this 13-minute window. There was a woman who said she saw a white van parked outside of the salon, and that she also saw a man. And she was actually able to describe the van and the man in great detail, and even in so much detail that she was even able to help the police make a composite sketch of this man. And this even led to there being a suspect, and this sketch was aired on the news. Unfortunately, not long after this, though, this woman recanted her testimony and said that she made everything up and she didn't actually see anything. So that's weird.
That is weird, because it makes you wonder, like, why would you make that up? Because it's not like she had money to gain from it. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you're living in a tiny town...
A lot of people do. This happens all the time.
And you're absolutely right. So maybe it isn't as weird. Maybe I should even worry about trying to dissect that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a chance that someone scared her and, told her not to talk, and that is possible. But this kind of thing does happen all the time. People just want attention however they can get it, and sometimes do crazy shit.
Absolutely.
But thankfully, she was not the only witness during this time. At 11:45 a.m., there were two independent witnesses who actually did see something. And, when I say independent witnesses, I mean they were in two separate cars. They didn't know each other. Like, they both saw something. Now, the first witness was a woman, and she said that she saw Patrice's Chevy Tahoe parked in a different way than it usually was. And I know this doesn't necessarily seem like much, but it is kind of weird. Because Patrice would park backed in to the same spot every day right next to the salon. And it was always there.
And Maureen, let's be honest. We know people who prefer to back into a parking space.
I mean, is there a bigger flex?
And I know sometimes there's a good reason to.
I mean,
but have you ever met someone who exclusively only backs into a parking space?
Oh, it's infuriating.
It's weird. But because it just seems like so much extra fucking work.
I've never backed into a space, ever.
And like I said, sometimes it's warranted. But like, there's some people who just love to back on up into it.
I mean, I do think that is, like, at the end of the day, like, I do think that is the elite. Like, you have to be elite to be able to handle that. And like I said before, it's a flex.
Yeah.
You're showing that you know your way around a motor vehicle, especially a damn Chevy Tahoe.
Oh, yeah. Those are big babies.
So yes, Patrice would always be parked this way. And the way her car was parked at this moment, it was kind of as if it was turning to go in front of the salon. And it was like kind of at an angle. Like it's not a place where you would actually park your car.
Right.
So that was a little strange. And this woman, she said she also saw a blue Chevy Lumina, which is just like a sedan. And it had the Georgia Quail wildlife tags on the license plate, which basically, if you don't know what that means, it's just like a picture of a quail. I think you like give a little extra money to like wildlife funds if you do that. And you know what? God bless.
Yeah.
So she noticed that. And she also noticed that the salon door was open and that there were two ladies standing in front of the Lumina. One was a taller woman with dark hair, and the other was an older lady. And they kind of had their hands on each other in some kind of way, like almost like someone tripped or someone was getting pushed down or being helped back up or like something like that.
Really? Okay.
Keep in mind, this is a busy street that the salon is on. It's not like you're going 25 miles an hour. You're probably going like 60 miles an hour.
Right. It's yeah.
So she didn't get a great look. Then a man said that he saw a lot of the same stuff. He saw the car, her car, the Chevy Tahoe, parked in that way, the same way. He noticed that. But he says that he saw a blue Ford Taurus or possibly a blue Chevy Malibu parked in front facing the salon. So basically a blue sedan.
Let's be real here. All American cars.
All American cars. And he said that he thinks he saw a man standing in front. However, it was also someone with shoulder-length dark hair. So, you know, you're driving fast. That is possible that either one of them kind of just didn't see clearly. And the police got to work checking out the Chevy Tahoe and whatnot, and they actually found a fingerprint that didn't belong to anyone in Patrice's family or Patrice. But unfortunately, it ended up being a mechanic who had recently changed her oil. This is pretty much all the police had to go off of. Now, I just want to emphasize, and I haven't really talked about this yet or touched on this yet, watching the Unsolved Mysteries episode is very interesting because you get to see a few of these people that we're talking about actually talk about this, and you can see their face and, you know, all of that stuff. Now, from the fucking second I saw Pistol, who is the son, who is Patrice's son, my heart started breaking.
Yes.
I mean, you can tell right a fucking way that he is genuinely hurting and in so much pain, and that this has totally blown up his life. And it affects him so deeply to this day. And
you know what I noticed? And I know this means nothing.
Yeah.
But I noticed when you see him as an adult, as he's being interviewed, he's bald. He has a clean-shaven head.
Yeah.
And all I could think about was how his mother used to cut his hair.
I know.
Now, who knows? There might be a billion
reasons. He might just
reasons.
actually be bald.
He might just actually be bald, or he prefers it that way. Who knows?
Yeah.
But part of me felt that, like, what if there's a part of him that feels like he needs to...
He can't, like, be reminded of it's too much.
And another thing is... He mentions this little argument that he had about, because he wanted to go see his girlfriend. He wanted to go to school early, and he had this little argument. Yeah. Now, granted, they still said, I love you before they left.
Yeah.
But I'm sure this mundane, think about all the billion little arguments you had with your parents when you were young.
Yeah.
I'm sure that little argument, which is so mundane and silly, to him, it probably haunts him.
Yeah.
I'm sure in his mind it is this awful thing. And he never says that, but
you can kind of
get
tell.
this feeling like, oh, he probably remembers that this mundane argument that in a normal setting he would probably have forgotten like that.
Oh, for sure.
If none of this would have happened and he grew up, he probably wouldn't even remember that.
I mean, especially it's like you gotta cut yourself some slack. It's like you were 15, you were a boy.
Yes,
like,
and you still said I love you when you said goodbye. Clearly, this wasn't like an argument of real consequence.
No.
But I'm sure in your head, it probably has become this like fucking calcified tumor in your mind.
Yeah. And so from the very top, I mean, like, your heart goes out to Pistol, and you feel so terrible for him, and you want the best for him, and you just trust him, and you can tell he's being honest.
Yes.
And I don't know if I can tell that because, one, I'm just a very empathetic person. I just am. Two, if it's because of like my acting training or theater background, where it's like I focus and it can point out very minute behavioral things or vocal patterns or whatever. Or maybe I've seen so many of these goddamn documentaries.
Yeah.
That I just can tell who's real and who's not and whatever. And to be fair, I don't think this is a trait specific to me. I think many of us feel this way, that you just can tell if someone's lying to you or not. And going off of that, there is a man that you can tell right off the bat that something's not right.
Woo! Oh!
Yeah.
Oh!
Here we go.
Goddamn. Oh.
And that is Rob, a.k.a. Patrice's husband, a.k.a. Pistol's stepfather. This guy, Rob, is actual trash. He's an actual waste of a human.
And I'll be real. Obviously, in the editing room, you can make anyone look bad, but let's be real. The things he says, it doesn't matter how you'd edit it.
Yeah.
It sounds bad.
It sounds bad.
This guy seems like a grade A. Let's say it, folks. A grade A chode.
Yeah.
We are putting him. You know what we need to start is we need to start a Creep Street Chode Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Rob.
Yeah.
Is near the goddamn top of the chode hierarchy.
Big time. And here's the thing about Rob. We find out that, you know what, at the beginning of his marriage or relationship with Patrice, things were actually pretty good. He really made an effort to be a part of Pistol's life. He was very kind and welcoming and just wanted to become a part of this new family. And even Pistol himself said this. He said at the beginning, things were good, actually. Rob was actually doing okay. But then it seems like about a year-ish or so after Patrice and Rob got married, everything completely changes.
Yep.
And he starts acting like a fucking dick.
A fucking dick of the highest fucking order. The shortest, chodiest dick.
Yeah, he's making snide comments. He's making crude remarks. That's what a Pistol says, crude remarks. And I'm like, or he just uses the word crude. And I'm like, I wonder what the fuck he was saying. So he really was acting like a complete asshole. So overall, Rob starts treating Pistol terribly. Keep in mind, at this point, Pistol is like max 10. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Like you're acting like that? He's 10. This is a child.
Fucking 10-year-old. Not even a teenager.
Yeah. And I mean, and it went through until, we'll get to it. But like when he started, it seems like being bad to Pistol was like 10. That's insane.
Yes.
And this man was like 51 or 52.
Yes.
Like, what do you mean? Like, it's insane.
What do you mean? Yes.
And now I gotta say something that's a little controversial.
Oh, please, a little controversy.
And I don't mean to ruffle any feathers. I just think that this is like, it's important and it might be hard for people to hear, but we need to talk about it. And that is, if your name is Rob, you have some soul searching to do. You need to look into your inner self. Maybe get some therapy, maybe meditate. I'll just leave it at that. If your name is Rob, there's a pattern.
Go by Robert or Bobby.
There's a goddamn pattern that I'm noticing.
Yeah.
So cool it with that. Anyway.
Rob Zombie.
Yeah. And this is not science. This is just me speaking from the heart. But anyway, in this episode, this interview with Rob, he is asked about how things were rocky and how there was fighting in the house and things like that. And he basically says something along the lines of like, I just remember the highlights, the beauty, the love, or like whatever the fuck, talking about the relationship. And this shit drives me fucking insane. because it's like, you're an actual piece of trash. You're a shit person, because that proves that there was strife in the relationship for fucking sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're saying you only remember the highlights, the beauty, and the love. You're implying that there were things other than that.
Yeah.
I just don't like it right off the top. And he also is like crying a little bit.
He did cry.
Which is okay. I mean, crying doesn't necessarily mean guilty or innocent or anything. It's just, I think it's worth noting because this is at the dang tip top of the interview.
Oh, yeah.
And he's already kind of getting weepy, and Pistol didn't even do that.
Yeah.
And everyone reacts differently, so we don't want to put too much, weight on that. But
Of course.
Worth to talk about. Now, this is another thing that Rob had to say. He said, quote,
Patrice and I didn't argue. We never argued. There's no point in arguing. All it does is drive division in a relationship.
And it's like, okay, Rob, you're actually a liar, and you're fucking stupid.
Well, because the way he says it sounds like he's saying there's no point in arguing because I'm always right.
Or it's saying like arguing doesn't matter because all it does is like bring up resentment and strife and whatever. And it's like, well, maybe actually sometimes you need to get your ass called out.
Absolutely.
And also, not even that, sometimes people disagree on things that's only natural. Like, you're not going to agree with your spouse on literally every fucking thing.
Right.
So it's just kind of a dumb, weird thing to say. Especially at this point, Pistol has come forward and said, like, no, they were fighting. Patrice and Rob were fighting with each other.
Right.
And then on top of all of this fucking shit, Rob, proudly states that he has a degree in criminology.
Yeah, because he says, well, of course, they investigated me.
Yeah.
Because I'm the husband, which is normal. He goes, I have a degree in criminology. I know how it works. I understand.
It's like,
And he
okay.
goes, never once did I feel like I was really a suspect. And oh boy. Now, I'll be honest. Obviously, editing means a lot.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the editing room of this Unsolved Mysteries Netflix thing.
Yeah.
I understand. You can make someone look like a dirt bag if they're not.
Yeah.
But good goddamn, the stuff that's in the thing sure does make him look like a piece of shit.
Yeah, the stuff that we will reveal later is going to make you be like, what the hell? And also, it's like, I have a degree in criminology, so I know that, the husband or the spouse or whatever is usually the person who did it and is the first suspect or whatever. Anyone who's watched more than 3 episodes of Forensic Files can tell you that. First of all, you're not really flexing on us here. Second of all, you saying that you have a degree in criminology actually makes you seem more guilty because it's saying that you know about criminology and you know enough that you would be able to commit a crime and cover it up.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, maybe don't say that.
Yeah. And let's be real, he looks guilty even without that criminology line.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, oh boy, does this guy, even if he has nothing to do with Patrice missing.
Oh, yeah, he just sucks. He's just a bad person.
He's a piece of shit.
Oh, I hate him.
Regardless if he's guilty of this crime or not.
For sure.
He's a piece of shit.
No, he's absolute trash. And just to really, emphasize that more, here's a little tidbit.
Please.
Rob thought that Pistol was jealous about the closeness between Rob and Patrice. He thought that Pistol was jealous of Rob. It's like,
Let's be real, Creep Street. You know, I know a lot of us out there have felt that. You ever been jealous of your dad? You ever been jealous of your dad because of all that time he spends with your mom?
I've never felt that.
Come on, Maureen, come on.
I mean, no.
Am I the only one?
I mean, I can understand maybe being like, oh, my mom isn't paying as much attention to me. Yeah. But no, this is saying jealous of their relationship. It's like, no, you actual psycho.
What of creep fucking salad?
And then he says, quote,
I just didn't see any future in him while I was with him, to tell you the truth.
Boom. Now, right there, Creep Street, right there is the cutoff line. Let's be real here. Whether he had, even though it kind of looks like he did, even if he had nothing to do with the fate of Patrice.
Yeah.
Imagine looking at a 10-year-old and thinking they have no future.
What's wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? First of all, eat my ass
Actually,
with a wooden spoon.
I mean, for sure.
I mean a real fucking Mennonite Amish-made wooden fucking spoon.
Yeah.
Because you, sir, are such a scumbag. You short, bald little fuck with your goatee. I mean, Christ, if there was ever a human punching bag that I wanted to fucking rock about the room. Now I'm getting hot, Maureen. You can tell.
Dylan's getting heated, yeah.
I'm starting to get the veins popping in my neck.
Oh yeah.
I only really get this way with cult leaders, but I'll be honest, Creep Street, forgive me if I get a little hot under the collar over this Rob fucking douchebag.
Big time.
The most untalented, worthless piece of shit.
Yeah.
Who looks at a 10-year-old and thinks they have no future. I hope you rot in hell in all 7 circles of Dante's goddamn hell.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you really nailed it. Really what I was planning on saying and really emphasizing, other than that, is just saying, this is a child.
This is a fucking child.
And you are a full man.
Yes.
You are a full-ass man.
In your 50s.
And you are in your 50s. And this is your wife's son. Apparently, you love your wife more than anything. She is your whole world to you. You miss her so much to this day. You love her. She's your whole heart. This is her son, and that's how you feel about him?
Oh, my God. There's some people you wish.
Right.
Like, I would love to see this guy with the bubonic plague. I would love to see this guy with with fucking scurvy. Something real nasty. I want biblical diseases to rain down on this weasel. Okay.
Just weasel. I think weasel was a great way to end that, you know? So here's the thing, though. A few weeks before Patrice went missing, Patrice spoke to Pistol about divorcing Rob, Pop Off My Queen.
Okay.
Finally ended this fucking bullshit. She was like, I can't do this.
Well, because Pistol even says a lot of times when Patrice would argue with Rob, she would eventually cave to him.
Yeah.
Except when it was about Pistol. When it was about Pistol, she stood her ground like a fucking fortress.
Yeah. And
which God bless her. Her child was untouchable in her eyes. Oh, I'm sure that ate at this piece of shit.
Because he wanted to be that person in her life.
Yes.
And she would not back down. She would not give in. I mean, her son was her world. But this is what Rob has to say about the whole divorce situation. And I quote,
Patrice planning to divorce me is new information. She never made that comment to me. Sometimes there were issues, but I don't remember the issues. I care not to remember the issues. I'd expected to live with her forever.
Okay, we have so much to unpack here.
Okay.
Number one, he says this divorce thing so calmly, saying like how it's new information to him. If their relationship was actually so wonderful, as he describes it, and they were connected on another level than anyone else could understand, and that he loved her so much, if he were to find out that she was going to divorce him, even 20 years after the fact, you would think he would look a little shocked or surprised. And once again, editing could do some of this, but I mean, this man has no emotion behind that. So also when he says, you know, that he doesn't remember the issues, that's just a lie because yes, you do, because of what you have previously said about how you only want to remember the good times or whatever. That implies that there were bad times. And then he immediately follows it up by saying, I care not to remember the issues. So you just called yourself out on lying because you're saying there were issues, but you care not to remember them. So you are saying that these things were unpleasant, and they probably were more than unpleasant. They were actually probably really fucked up. And then he just totally negates the reality of the situation and then says that he'd expected to live with her forever. More to unpack there. So basically, he isn't accepting that there were issues between them, even though he knows that there were. So he's not actually even living in the reality of the situation. He's actually delusional at best.
Yeah.
He's most likely super dismissive and manipulative.
Oh, yeah.
So he's living by the rules of a false reality, and it's making him look and behave absolutely insanely.
Oh, absolutely insane.
And it's also so weird for him to say, I thought that I would live with her forever, rather than be with her forever or stay married to her forever or whatever. And this is just a small thing.
Yeah,
and maybe there isn't anything to it, but it's like he wanted the proximity and ownership to her rather than the relationship to her.
Yes.
Like he's saying, I thought I would live with her forever.
You're absolutely right.
It's like you wanted her in your grasp, in your household forever. You're not actually saying, I thought that we would be in love forever.
You're right. And that's actually something I hadn't thought of, is in a normal situation, you wouldn't think twice if someone said be with or live with. In a normal situation.
But this is just weird.
But now that you know this guy is a total piece of just garbage, that you're right, it sticks out. You're right. It is weird.
And we're going to start hating this guy even more in a second.
Oh, yeah.
Rob changed all of the locks on the doors of the home the day after Patrice went missing. Now, he said that this was a precautionary measure, which honestly, I get a little bit, because your wife just goes missing. You may think, oh, maybe something is going on. Like this person could come back, maybe try to get me, do whatever. Clearly, there's a huge breach of security in your world.
Right.
So even though most people online and everything were like saying how weird that it was, that usually people like leave all the doors unlocked and leave all the lights on all the time when someone in their life goes missing, so that if they come home, they can be there immediately. But here's the thing. He didn't just change all of the locks. He changed all the locks, and then he didn't give Pistol a key.
And how old is Pistol still at this time?
Pistol he's turning 16 soon, but he's not 16 yet. He is 15 years old.
Okay.
And this man locked his stepson out of the house, wouldn't give him a key, and wouldn't even let Pistol inside to like get clothes or anything. And Rob said plainly that he did this because he didn't like him. And then Rob called Pistol, quote, a constant mental drag.
His wife, has disappeared for no more than 24 hours. Mm-hmm. So what does he do? He changes the locks.
Yeah.
Doesn't even let his 15-year-old, 16-year-old stepson in. Because why? What was it he said?
Just doesn't like him and called him a constant mental drag.
A 15/16-year-old, he won't even let, whose mother just went missing.
Yeah.
His actual biological mother.
Who he was extremely close to.
Won't even let this kid in the house. Now, goddamn.
Yeah.
There has to be, that is a flavor of douchebag.
It's
I
not
don't
even
think I've
douchebag.
sampled yet.
It's not even, for sure.
What do you got? You got lemon lime.
Come on.
You got cola. You got grape. You got strawberry. You got cherry, raspberry. That is a flavor of douche.
Yeah.
I don't even think is available in regular market sale.
No, it's not a Coke product. I can tell you that right now.
We're talking a 15, 16-year-old, and you lock him out the day after his mother goes missing because, quote, you don't like him.
And this is just a little thing to think about. He still thinks, Rob should think at this point, or hope at least, that Patrice is going to come home. That Patrice is going to come back.
But your locks are fucking changed.
Well, no. It's not that the locks are changed because, I'm sure he would be able to give her a key or get her at the police station or wherever the fuck. It's that Patrice is going to come back and find out that you kicked her son out of the house. So this motherfucker must be pretty certain that Patrice isn't coming back.
Amen.
Because why? Who would do that if you had any ounce of hope that your wife is going to come home? That you would be able to tell her, I kicked your son out of the house when he was going through the worst moment in his entire life.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Dante has got to come up with an extra circle of hell just for this piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. What a scumbag.
So you know what? Pistol goes ahead and he lives with his dad. And unfortunately, though, his dad, Don, at this point, went into a major, deep depression after Patrice went missing because, honestly, they were still best friends. Don especially really considered Patrice to be his best friend. They talked every single day.
And that's wonderful. It almost makes me wish I knew more about the relationship between Patrice and her former husband.
Yeah. And let me just say, again, in the Unsolved Mysteries episode, how truly tortured Pistol looks about losing his mother and her going missing.
Yes.
To this day. I mean, he is in so much pain.
And just from a physical standpoint, you'll notice, like, I noticed on his nose, on the right side, he has like a scar. Mm-hmm. And who knows?
It could be completely unrelated.
That could be completely unrelated. We all get scars from life. Who knows? But you can just from a physical standpoint, you can just tell he's been through the ringer.
Oh, yeah.
Emotion aside, all that stuff, you can just tell physically he's been through it, because I think I'm roughly about Pistol's
I was just
age.
going to say, I think he's maybe 3 years older than me, so 1 year older than you.
Yeah, he might be a little bit older, but I would think we're roughly...
we're all basically the same age.
And when I look at that man, I see someone who has lived 60 years.
He looks
almost.
so much older, and not
And
like
I don't mean he looks bad.
No, not in a way that he's aged poorly or like has a bunch of wrinkles
Right.
and shit. I don't mean it like that. It's behind his eyes.
It's someone who's haunted, almost like a PTSD.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
And Pistol said that sometimes he would just walk through the woods for hours just calling her name by himself. He didn't know what else to do. I mean, this is a boy. This is a boy. He's, at this point, maybe 16. Like, this is so tragic. And obviously, Pistol thinks that Rob has something to do with this.
Of course.
And it isn't just Pistol. It seems like all, or at least most of, Patrice's friends feel the same way too, and her family. They noticed that Rob was always insanely jealous and was always kind of hovering and was just always right there whenever he was in the same room with Patrice. And her friends knew that they were fighting and everything. They just...
Right. Well, Pistol even said, like, when Rob would make shitty comments about him, he would say it, like, with his friends present.
Oh, yeah, like with Pistol's friends there. Yeah, it wasn't like a secret.
He would openly say, like, shitty things like, you're a disappointment or you're fucking going nowhere in front of his friends.
Yeah. So his friends were suspicious, but then so were Patrice's friends and her family.
I'm sure.
And Patrice even said, quote,
Rob wanted her all to himself.
Now, something that's interesting is that a little bit before Patrice went missing, a few weeks before, Patrice asked Pistol where he would go if something happened to her. Or if she was gone or something.
That is interesting.
And Pistol at the time didn't really think much of it. He just was like, oh, I'd go with my dad. And that was kind of it. They just moved on. At the time, of course, Pistol just thought maybe this, thought just popped into Patrice's mind and, whatever. But knowing what we know now, we can see that that's a little strange. Kind of a weird coincidence.
Right. Was she sensing something already?
Right.
Or, yeah.
Is it just a coincidence?
There's so much in this story that if this hadn't had happened, you wouldn't even think twice about it.
Right. Like her being a little short with people that day at the salon.
Rob aside, obviously he's a piece of shit no matter what. But
right.
The relationship between Pistol and his mom, there's a million things that, like, well, if this hadn't happened, would you even think twice about it? Mm-hmm. But now that what has happened, suddenly everything feels like a red flag.
Yeah. And maybe this speaks more to me being an incredibly anxious person from the damn start. But I fucking knew who I was going to if something happened to my parents. You better believe I asked that question at an early age.
Yeah.
It was Aunt Kath and Uncle Tim, and I was going to live with them.
Yes.
And I knew that from the start. And once again, maybe this is because I'm the way that I am. But it's interesting that she asked him about it when he was like 15. It's usually like the parent says, like, this is where you're going to go. And also, you would think it would be kind of obvious that he would just go to his dad. But regardless.
Yeah.
But exactly 600 days after Patrice went missing, something happened. On December 6th, 2005, 2 people were standing behind a church, which was about 6 miles from Patrice's salon. And they were there with other people as well, but they were there building a new fellowship hall for this church. And they were just standing behind the church, they were having a little snack, and they saw a bunch of buzzards, like birds, flying over something out in the woods that was like behind the church. Because this pretty rural area.
Yeah.
So these 2 guys, they were like, let's check out, what the heck is even going on. And they saw a dead deer, and that's what the birds were there for. But then they also found a human skull.
Yikes.
So right away, they called the police. The police came out there and they did a thorough search of the area for about a day and a half. And during that time, they found almost all of the bones belonging to this skeleton, to this skull. And it turned out that those were the remains of Patrice Endres. Now, it's very possible, according to investigators, that Patrice may have been there this whole time, that whole 600 days, laying there. But she also could have been placed there later.
Yeah.
It would have been really tough to carry her dead weight through that terrain, like if she was already dead. It's not impossible, but it would have been very difficult. However, it's worth mentioning that it's possible that she maybe walked in there.
Right.
Either was forced to walk in there or something else was going on.
Right.
She was with someone she trusted, or who knows. So basically, because the bones were in such a state, they weren't able to really get a ton of information, like what I just said, about exactly when she died, when she was put there at that part of the woods or whatever. But this is an actual quote from Rob referring to this situation.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be here. I bet it's going to be classy.
Yeah.
And respectful.
Yeah, for
Let's
sure.
hear it.
All
Let's
right,
hear it.
Here we go. He says, quote,
Was she kept captive for a while? Was she, I hate to say this, but was she somebody's toy for a while?
oh my actual God. Who would use those words while talking about the possibility of your wife, of the love of your life, being held hostage somewhere?
It's like, are you just like, you've gotten away with it, so now you're just kind of taking a victory lap in a way?
No, yeah. I mean, people they do that.
Like
These killers do that all the time.
Like, are you like that? I mean, that is beyond the pale.
The fact that he used, and I don't even want to say it because it's like so just bad. Don't even really know what other word, just bad. But that he said, was she somebody's toy for a while? The fact that he used the word toy. Like, wouldn't you say, was she kept prisoner somewhere? Was she, abused? Was she assaulted? You're saying, was she somebody's toy for a while?
Right, which obviously implies a sexual connotation. I guess not necessarily.
No, it does. No, it absolutely does.
But, like, it
and to say that about your wife.
It's just like, fucking put on a tie, you piece of shit. Class it up. Whether you're guilty or not, like, what the fuck? It's like, did you take, because it's like, if you're not guilty, you're trying goddamn hard to look fucking guilty.
Yeah, honestly. It's like, why are you being this way?
God
You
damn.
absolute trash person. Now, something interesting, though, about the search of the area where Patrice's body was found, they did not find her wedding ring, which you would think would be there. It was two 14-karat gold rings soldered together with a 1.5-carat pear-shaped marquise diamond in the center. Couldn't find it. So odd. You would think that would be there. It could mean many different things.
Yeah.
But was this kept as kind of a trophy for someone? Was this... I don't know. We don't know.
Well, also, it's now bringing me back to the salon where the money was in the till was taken, but not the money in her purse. Now I'm thinking, is this someone who abducted just her, was there to abduct her, but because of maybe their criminology degree, thought, I'll try to make this look like a burglary.
But, like, not well, though.
Because they didn't... yeah.
Like, the scene looks weird. Like, he didn't do a good job. If he did do it, like, he didn't do a good job of making it, like, a cut and dry thing. Like, he made it look very,
Because now I'm
don't know.
thinking the money taken from the till... Who gives a shit about the money? It was not about the money.
No.
It was to make it look like a robbery that ended up being a kidnapping or whatever it is.
I mean, yeah, but what I'm saying is it doesn't look like a burglary.
Well, yes, but it looks like a piece of shit, dumb fucking goatee-wearing motherfucker's attempt at making it look like
I
a
know,
robbery.
but if he really has a degree in criminology,
Which who
why
knows?
would he be so bad at making it look like a burglary? Like, this is, like, it didn't look like a burglary. So, Patrice's remains are found, as we just discussed.
Yes.
Now, Rob wanted a, quote, last farewell. So he asked the funeral director of the funeral home that they were using to have Patrice's skeleton reassembled.
Buckle up, Creep Street.
Yeah.
This is prime time Creep Street bullshit.
It really is. So yeah, he wanted her to be reassembled, laying in the coffin, so he could see her again. So the funeral home employees, the incredible workers that do this important and hard work, I want to give them a shout out. They did the best of their ability to put everything, all the bones in their correct places. Keep in mind, they didn't have every single bone, so they had to, but they had most of the bones.
Right.
Before I move forward, let me just say, I don't know if that's normal. Like when someone is, something like this tragically happens and all that's left of someone's body is their skeleton. I don't know what's protocol. Like,
right.
I don't know if they do put them in anatomically correct positions in the coffin.
Right.
Maybe that's normal. I actually don't know.
And as we've said a million times, people grieve in different ways.
You got to do what you got to do. And if anyone judges you, literally fuck them, because do what you got to do.
What might be necessary for someone might look weird to someone else.
Totally.
Obviously. But Maureen, what happened?
Yeah, I think what I'm going to say next, people, just the rest of the Rob shit, I think you'll understand where we're coming from here. So then Rob sees the skeleton and, the funeral director leaves the room to give him a little time to be alone. And this is what Rob says, quote,
I picked up her skeleton, her head, and carried it around for a while. That was the last time I saw Patrice anywhere near intact.
Did you say just the head?
He picked up the skull and just kind of walked around the room and just carried it in his arms for a while.
Like he's fucking Hamlet. Alas, poor Yorick.
Yeah.
Now, Maureen, I don't know about you, but I read Wuthering Heights in high school.
Okay.
And folks, if you'll remember, Wuthering Heights, a classic gothic romance.
Yeah.
You'll remember that the curmudgeon but handsome Heathcliff loved his darling Catherine, and after she died, he would regularly go out, dig up her body, even after she was skeletal, just to hold his darling Catherine. Now, wow, I don't know if this guy thought he was living in a Bronte novel.
Yeah.
But you know what? And like I said, who knows if you're grieving? Who knows what you're gonna do?
It's I gotta say, from an outsider's perspective, I'll be honest, that sounds weird to me.
Yes.
Especially knowing everything that we already know. If he was a great guy and he did this, I would be like, you know what? I can't even imagine the pain.
Oh.
So
yes.
Maybe that is normal. I literally don't know.
Yes, we are not judging how people grieve. That's not the point.
But the way that he did it,
especially after he comes off so fucking smug.
Yeah.
And
the fact that he says that was the last time I saw Patrice anywhere near intact, that's just weird to me.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know. And maybe that doesn't mean anything, but it's just weird. But then he fucking goes on to say, quote,
probably for a year or longer after Patrice was returned to me, her ashes, she stayed in my bed. I slept with her. It's something that I typically don't share with people, but she was like my teddy bear. 'Cause that's how we used to, that's how we used to sleep, snuggled together.
Oh my God.
Now this, in my personal opinion, is not quite as weird as the skeletal thing, because we know him to be such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's hard not to see everything he does is fucking weird.
And also because these little minute little details and these little things that he's done in the past that make you think, okay, this is more than actually just someone grieving a spouse. This is someone who is possibly obsessed with just having someone.
Absolutely. There's an ownership thing about it.
Yeah. And before we talk more about that, I think I also gotta call something out, because when I see bullshit, I gotta call it out. And it's that this is a complete fucking lie. And this is part of the dumb assness and dangerous ass, stupid ass, criminal ass, delusional ass, reality / past that Robert has created for himself. Okay? He's saying, oh, our relationship was so good, we snuggled together every night, that's how we slept. No, you fucking didn't. No, you fucking didn't, okay? Because I'm sure someone out there is going to try to tell me that I'm wrong, but I don't fucking care because I'm certain that these people are lying too. If there are two people in a grown-ass relationship and are grown-ass people, especially if one of them at this point is in his 50s, they're not sleeping together, cuddled all night long.
Right.
Cuddling is a pre-sleep opportunity and activity.
Yes.
You may fall asleep, with a touch of a cuddle, of course.
Of course.
These things can happen, but you're not about to sleep the whole night through cuddled together. Most likely, you're going to cuddle when you first get in bed, and then you're going to say bye, and then you're going to turn and you're not going to face each other.
Right. And
like Americans. So anyway, that's just a little thing where it's like, you actually didn't sleep snuggled with Patrice when she was alive. But yeah, no, it's just absolutely clear that this man is wild. And like Dylan said, who knows what you're going to do when a spouse passes away. And, I could see that maybe being comforting to somebody. But some stuff that I'm going to get to now is going to show you that that's probably not the case. First of all, Rob says, quote,
"And yes, I'm protective of Patrice, and I have her. That's a good thing."
Once again, being very possessive of Patrice, just like he was in life.
Right. I have her ... That's a good thing.
It has other implications in there, like if someone else were to have some of her or part of her or all of her ashes, that would be terrible.
Well, also, last time I've checked, families that have had a loved one cremated, sometimes, and not always, sometimes they will say you have a child that's an adult that lives elsewhere. You might put some ashes in, and they have a bit of so-and-so.
Yeah,
and
that's
you have
not
a bit of
uncommon at all.
Or you scatter some of the ashes. Who knows? Like, that's normal. To be like, I have the ashes, and that's a good
like
thing.
I'm the only one that it would be appropriate or right to be in possession of her remains. But in the episode, Rob then goes to bring Patrice's ashes out, and he gets the ashes from a coat closet, and he says, quote,
"She should be in here."
Which is weird. It's like, okay, clearly you actually don't look at this that often because you're not even sure where the box is.
Right.
Just a quick side note, he has been remarried, so he lives in a house with his new wife. My mother is with someone whose former spouse passed away.
Yeah.
They have her ashes in the house. It's not like, it's a weird thing to like get jealous over, you psycho. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that in case anyone had heard that. But anyway.
Also, here's something I'm curious about. How many times, if any, was he married before Patrice?
I don't know. So Rob goes ahead and gets her ashes out of this coat closet. And they were sitting on the floor of this coat closet in a beat up cardboard box. And then he says that he always just kept her ashes in this cardboard box. Meaning, when he was talking about that year or whatever or more when he was sleeping with her ashes, he was actually just sleeping with like a cardboard box.
Right. Which,
like her ashes were inside of it, but it's like he was sleeping with a cardboard box.
Right.
This is obviously very strange because first of all, it's just kind of weird to sleep with a cardboard box for that long. But also, it's like you currently just have her ashes completely tucked away in a closet where you never see her or her ashes, and you didn't do anything to make it beautiful. And she was all about making people beautiful and making people feel beautiful and the beauty of life and all of this stuff. It's just, it's weird. And it's weird that he never even got an urn for her ashes.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see here, for some reason, I don't know if the producers asked him to do this or just he started doing it, I don't know. But he starts to open up the cardboard box. And it's clear he's never opened it before. And then he goes ahead to open up the box within the cardboard box, which is just like a plastic box, just like run-of-the-mill plastic box that you receive ashes in. It's not an urn.
Yeah.
It's just literally a plastic black box. And then he goes ahead and he opens up that plastic box. And it's clear, too, that he's never opened that before either. Like, it's like really fucking close.
Yeah.
And then he goes ahead, once he's opened that box, and he takes out the plastic bag full of her ashes.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, like I know it's been like 20 years, but like, it's so weird to me. It's such a big jump from going like, I've never even opened the cardboard box that her ashes are in, that have her ashes within it, to actually like handling her ashes on camera.
And he even says, this is the first time I've seen her ashes directly, so I'm a little emotional.
Yeah.
God,
He's just putting on a show.
Yeah.
And, or maybe he genuinely feels that, who gives a fuck? I don't care.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And like, that's just so weird to me. And he's like kind of like moving around the ashes in his hands and are like patting the ashes. And like, once again, that in itself, if he had just like done that at some point, is like not weird, but it's weird that after all of this time he's doing it and it's on camera. And it's like, what do you mean you never got an urn for her ashes?
Also, if you know that Netflix and Unsolved Mysteries are coming to shoot in your home and are going to be asking tough questions, don't you think you'd have prepped you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least make it look like, you know what I mean?
No,
like,
it's weird.
You didn't think they would ask about the ashes?
Yeah, I hate him, and mainly because of what he's about to say here.
Oh, buckle up, Creep Street.
He says,
I'd never share these ashes with anybody, particularly Pistol.
This is her son. Rob, you loved this woman with your whole fucking heart.
Yeah.
She was your whole world, and you consider your time with her to be the best time of your life. But you won't even consider allowing her son, who was the best part of her life, to have some of her ashes?
Just some.
Not even the whole thing.
Some.
I mean, what kind of fucking monster would deny a boy his mother's ashes? Pistol's like 17 at this point.
Yeah.
He's in high school. He's a boy still. And you won't give him his mother's ashes or part of his mother's ashes. And you proudly say that you're glad that you're not giving them to Pistol. Like, what do you think, like, what could possibly be so wrong with Pistol having some of his own mother's ashes?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's dead already.
Yeah.
Like, what is he going to do? And think about it. Not only did Pistol get denied the opportunity to hang on to or scatter or whatever he wanted to do with some of his own mother's ashes, but, like, he didn't get to go back to the house at all. Like, this was his home.
Right.
He couldn't get any of her belongings. Like, he didn't get any of her jewelry or even, like, any photos or anything.
Right.
I mean, that was just all gone. Like, that was just stolen from him. And it is just crazy.
Yeah.
So, even though we have been going horde on Rob,
Yes.
he is actually not the only suspect of this crime.
Let's talk about it, Maureen.
Now, one is a serial killer named Jeremy Jones. He was recently arrested at the time, and he claimed that he was lost one day, the day, April 15th, and went into the salon to get directions. But he saw an opportunity. You know, he saw this woman all alone, no one's there, and he went ahead and he took her and he assaulted her, and then he killed her and threw her into a creek in Dawson County. But then later he says, and also it seems like he didn't do it, that he just lied. Another false confession or statement.
Yes, and keep in mind, this guy is a legitimate serial killer. It's not like, right, he is a legitimate serial killer.
He really only knew information about the case that was like public knowledge.
Yes.
And also he said he didn't actually do it, so. Now, another suspect is another serial killer named Gary Michael Hilton. Now, he was known as the National Forest serial killer because he killed a lot of people in national forests.
Wow.
Be careful in those damn forests, guys.
Yes, that's an episode all its own.
So just, oof. Something interesting about him is that a while back, he was actually a consultant on a straight-to-video movie called Deadly Run. And this movie was about a serial killer who stalked female victims in the woods. Now, according to the producer of this movie, Samuel Rail, the whole plot of this movie was actually Gary Michael Hilton's idea. And Gary Michael Hilton was the one that brought up the idea of the killer using a large forest as his hunting ground.
Wow.
So, I mean, that is possible. The police can't prove that he didn't do it. There's no real alibi. But the police can't prove that he did do it either.
Okay.
So that's kind of up in the air. And I'm pretty sure he was already executed for previous crimes. Now, another theory is that Patrice actually was not killed by any of these people, but actually by just someone else that she knew. Perhaps even a previous client or a current client, because nothing was disheveled. There wasn't really like a struggle, all of this stuff.
Right.
Now, of course, we've mentioned Rob.
Yes.
And of course, the police investigated Rob, but nothing has really come up yet. He's not fully off the table, but it seems unlikely that he did it because he has a receipt from a gas station like 40 miles away or something like that during this time. And then also he clocked into work, so we know exactly where he was, and there would not have been physically enough time to have been able to do all of this.
Right.
I think kind of fucking convenient that you have a gas receipt at this time.
Yes.
Once again, it's possible. I think it's kind of weird. Maybe did people in the past used to just like keep their receipts?
Well,
I don't even print mine out from the gas station. I'm like, fuck off.
Also, typically he would, if he's getting gas, would fill it at a place that's actually close by.
Yeah.
Why on the specific day did he get gas 45 minutes away?
As of right now, as far as I know, I don't think there's a true explanation for that. As far as I know, I could be wrong.
Yes.
Because that's also fucking weird. He didn't go to just like a gas station in town. He went far the fuck away to get gas.
Yeah.
So that's weird. So many people think that it is entirely possible that there was a murder for hire situation.
Yeah.
That he enforced this, but wasn't the one to actually abduct her.
Right.
Now, the director of the Unsolved Mysteries episode that this is about, his name is Jimmy Goldblum, and he has some interesting things to say about Rob. And this is what he has to say.
I think there's a really salient point there, which is that he did it within 24 hours.
Talking about changing the locks.
I think in that point in the case, you have police dogs out, you have the town going through the woods, you have ATVs, so everyone is searching. There's still the idea that Patrice could come back. So the fact that he felt comfortable to change the locks within the 24-hour window, when the whole town was under the belief that she was missing and still alive, I will say in terms of things that stoked my imagination on set, that was a major one.
He also goes on to say, talking about his treatment of Pistol and not letting Pistol in the home.
I think he did an incredible disservice to Pistol. That's my personal opinion. If I were a stepdad and the mother of my 15-year-old stepson would have disappeared, I would have been concerned about that kid, whether I thought he was a pain in the ass or not. I think there's parents who understand their job to raise the child, or there's parents who believe it's the child's role to make their lives easier. But to have a step-parent who feels that way to the extreme, and your primary caregiver who you're absolutely close to disappears, I think that's a compounded trauma I couldn't even fathom.
And I think that's very well said.
Yes. Because at the end of the day, Creep Street, when you look at the evidence, it's not impossible that Rob did this.
Yes.
But because of the time frame, it is improbable.
Mm-hmm.
And they even say that in the dialogue. One of the detectives says it's not impossible, but it does make it improbable. And that is part of what's so infuriating is you've got this little squirrel motherfucker who is the perfect, is all but saying, I did it.
Yeah.
But then the evidence actually suggests not that he completely didn't, but that it's unlikely. It's like, God damn.
It's so confusing.
And then you start to think about the actual scene of the crime, the money in the tills taken, but not the money in the purse. Like, it reeks of someone who tried to make it look like a robbery.
Or just make it look weird.
Or just make it look weird to muddy the waters. But yet he changes the law. And of all the concerns, a day after your wife is missing, your biggest concern is keeping the stepson you don't like out of the house?
Yeah. It's like, what is wrong with you? I think the prison industrial complex in this nation is disgusting. And we're going to get into that. But I don't think it is for Rob. You know what I mean? I think Rob deserves all of the horror.
Rob deserves legitimate medieval torture devices.
The emotional and mental damage that he has inflicted upon Pistol is so disgusting.
Yeah.
It is so infuriating. And Pistol is just really going through it. And he even said, quote,
I've been searching for that closure and for justice for what happened to her. That's all I'm looking for. She deserves it.
Now, this case is still being worked on, thankfully. And Special Agent Kimberly Williams made a statement to the Forsyth County News in 2019 saying,
"We are dedicated to solving this case, and we continue to encourage the public to contact us with any information that may help us hold the responsible party accountable."
You got to give it up for that. And speaking of that, if you do happen to have any information about this, or you have seen or have any inkling about the whereabouts about this missing wedding ring, because that will really that's kind of a good key here.
Yeah.
Please contact the Georgia Bureau of Investigation tip line, and that is 800-597-8477, or you can go to unsolved.com. Now, we've talked about suspects, we've talked about theories, but I think it's always important to do a little bit of an internet theory.
Yeah.
Because you never know what you're going to get, and I think I have some good hot takes here. I'm just going to read off a couple theories or just thoughts that I found throughout the damn internet that I think are worth reading and worth dissecting a little bit. One is from a user named Lisa from unsolved.com, and this is what she has to say.
This entire episode was an opportunity for Rob to gloat over his killing of Patrice. He started out gloating about being 20 years older than her and being the luckiest guy alive, then about his degree in criminology, and then gave more and more details of exactly what he did to her, and was quietly, then not so quietly by the end, showing us his ultimate trophy, her ashes. He got away with murder. Someone needs to get in that house and they will find the evidence they need to charge Rob. Pistol deserves to have everything of his mom's, including her ashes.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay.
I think there's stuff in that house. There's stuff in that house.
Okay.
Now, this is an interesting thing, an interesting thought from Chuck D from unsolved.com. And they say,
has anyone thought that Rob changed those locks to keep people out because he had her,
meaning Patrice,
hostage in there or her body? Then when he stated, did someone wheel her into the woods in a wheelbarrow? Or was she someone's plaything first? I believe he was telling on himself of what he did to her before he killed her. Just my honest opinion.
And then another user named ABC123ER, they said,
I agree with you 100%. It's something killers do, telling on themselves.
Now, I think this is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because what if he did have her in there? Or her body, or her alive?
Yeah.
You know?
We don't, I mean...
That's a thought.
Because so much time had passed, her body had... Yeah, I wonder how long she was alive after she had been taken.
I mean, even if it was just for a little while, you know what I mean? Even if it was just for a couple days she was in the house. Like, not the whole time, obviously.
Right.
But just like, you know, I just thought that was an interesting thing. And what the second user pointed out, which we kind of mentioned before, is that for whatever fucking reason, I mean, I'm glad they do, but I don't know why they do, killers do like to tell on themselves. They like get off on giving more and more information, and then people not knowing that it's still them. They like to feel smart, but then they actually just tell on themselves. And maybe that's what's going on here. I don't know. Now, here is someone, this is from Reddit, the user named JPP1223. Now, this user has an interesting take, which you'll hear in a second.
This is a speculative observation. Consider the ashes. He stated that he slept with them for over a year and never wanted to part with any of them. Yet, as depicted, he got her cremains out of the coat closet on the floor and in their original plastic container from the crematory. No commemorative urn, nothing even labeling them as Patrice's. Psychologically, and speaking from my perspective working in the funeral industry, this doesn't compute. Grief is personal and we all grieve in our own ways, but I believe Rob is a legend of his own mind. Just enough criminology knowledge to be dangerous, and a technically sound alibi that makes no logical sense. Not a betting man, but I believe if the truth ever comes out, Rob will be the culprit.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, you would think...
Yeah.
He would, if you've got a fucking film crew coming to your house
to
talk about this, you would think you would do something to make it look, like you open that box a billion times or...
Right.
Yeah, you don't think that this fucking film crew from Netflix isn't going to ask about the ashes?
Especially after you tell them that you like slept with the ashes for a year.
You don't think they're gonna ask about the ashes? Come on.
Like, it's insane.
Your criminology education didn't talk about that, you dumb piece of shit?
For real. And also, I just thought it was interesting that this was someone that works in the funeral industry and can confirm that even though grief is very personal and it looks many different ways, his behavior is weird. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
Now, another Reddit user by the name of Miss Gill has this to say.
I don't think a serial killer or random person killed Patrice. 1. Broad daylight. 2. Busy road. 3. Somewhat busy salon. 4. Statistically, more likely to be someone she knew, like her husband, and it seems like a risky plan for a complete stranger / opportunist to decide to attack / kidnap her in a spur-of-the-moment attack. How would they know that no one else would be inside? Cars in the parking lot doesn't mean much when you have public transport or getting a taxi or getting dropped off. 5. Patrice was short / inattentive / distant that day. She had something on her mind. And 6. Patrice asked Pistol what he would do if she went away. Patrice knew something. I think this was planned, kidnapped for hire with the till money and the ring. I hope Pistol gets his mom's ashes back, or at least some photos.
So I just think that's also important too, because it is possible that one of these serial killers or another serial killer or just some random person saw the opportunity like, oh, here's a woman alone.
Right.
This is so risky for just some random person to do. And like she said, statistically speaking, it's more than likely someone she knows. And because there was no struggle, because of all of this stuff, I think that it probably was someone she knew.
Yeah.
Or at least they seemed like someone she would know or something like that. Some people think that these people, whoever they were, came to the salon in this car, this blue car, and pretended like they needed a jump for their car. And that's why Patrice's car was turned the way that it was. But what's weird is her car keys are inside the salon, or were inside the salon.
Huh, okay.
So really, it seems that the answers that we're all wanting and hoping for really come down to whatever the hell was going on with that damn blue sedan, whether it be a Lumina, a Taurus, or a Malibu.
Yep.
So this is a tragic, wild story, and there are so many different theories or possibilities of what it could be, but we want to know what your thoughts are, what you think really went down.
Yes.
Please reach out to us and let us know your thoughts. You can DM us on any of our socials, or you can email us at creepstreetpodcast@gmail.com. And once again, if you by any chance happen to have any kind of information about this, please submit it to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation tip line or at unsolved.com.
Maureen, thank you for all of that excellent research.
Damn, I mean, it was a damn doozy, this one.
It was a journey. It was a journey. And I'll tell you what, I got a list of names I wouldn't mind cutting my hair.
Oh, okay. Go on.
Folks, give it on up for our top-tier Patreon subscribers. Of course, the Dream James Watkins, the Finished Face Via Lundqvist, the Madman Marcus Hall, the Vivacious Vicky McHugh, the Tenacious Teresa Hackworth, the Heartbreak Kid Chris Hackworth, the Oh-So-Suave Sean Richardson, the British Bonebreaker Bex Martin, the Notorious Nicholas Barker, the Terrifying Taylor Lashmet, the Count of Cool Cameron Corliss, the Archduke of Attitude Adam Archer, the Sinister Sam Kiker, the Nightmare of New Zealand Noeline Vivilli, the Loathsome Johnny Love, the Carnivorous Kevin Bogey, the Killer Stud Carl Staub, the Firestarter Heather Carter, the Conqueror Christopher Damian Demaris, the Awfully Awesome Annie, the Murderous Maggie Leach, the Sir of Sexy Sam Hackworth, the Evil Elizabeth Riley, Lauren Hellfire Hernandez Lopez, the Maniacal Laura Maynard, the Vicious Karen Van Buren, the Arch Nemesis Aaron Bird, the Sadistic Sergio Castillo, the Rapscallion Ryan Crum, the Beast Benjamin Huang, the Devilish Chris Doucette, the Psycho Sam, the Electric Emily Zhang, the Renegade Corey Ramos, the Crazed Carlos, the Antagonist Andrew Park, the Monstrous Michaela Schur, the Witchy Wonder JP Weimer, the Freaky Ben Forsyth, and the Barbaric Andrew Barry.
Wow, those are some amazing, amazing names.
Yes.
And I love hearing them. I love hearing them every week. I just do. I just love it. And thank you to all of you, our top tier. We are so grateful for you. Thank you for all that you do for us. And of course, thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers, no matter the damn tier. And also thank you to all of you for listening. We love having you here with us. And please remember to like, rate, subscribe. Leave a review. Get on that Apple Podcast app and leave a damn review. Get on Spotify and smash that 5 stars. If you're listening on YouTube, smash the subscribe. Any of these things really, really help out the show. More than we could ever say. And it means so much to us. And we love seeing your lovely, lovely words, your kind words. And thank you again.
And of course, make sure to get in those listener stories.
Big time. We can't wait to hear what you're all about.
Citizens of the Milky Way, my name is Dylan Hackworth.
I'm Maureen Bogey.
Good night and goodbye.
Goodbye.